Hello, Paul Greenwood again with part 3 of In the Courtyard. On our way to the safe house, my friend and we saw the enemy going down the next street. So we hid down an alley. Then after a few moments, climbed a couple of walls, down another alley, then into the safe house. Just in time as the enemy appeared in our street. They talked to everyone who was on foot and searched them. Not finding anything, they carried on. As they got to the end, they came under mortar attack. The enemy dispersed and disappeared into the buildings at the end of the street. That was the last we saw of them. We had to stay in a safe house and not be seen. For local women, so as not bring any dire attention to us, catered for all our needs. We had to stay hidden for 3 days. 3 boring days. There was very little to do. Nothing to make the time pass quickly. Heat of the house was unbearable, so mainly stayed out in the yard at the back. And our last day an enemy patrol, with unbelievers amongst their numbers, showed up. They started doing house-to-house searches, which was not good for us. A woman we knew turned up. She told us about the searches and that we must leave the house with her. We dressed as women and then left the house, whilst the enemy was still quite a way off. Seems the spy had been at his dirty work yet again. One of the car thieves had been caught and questioned. Though he hadn't talked, it had made our enemy cautious. This is why they were in our street, so why we had to move. We moved into a new district, quite away from our earlier house. At our new abode, we changed back to Mel's. We only had a few hours till we would be joining our leader again, so we waited for the time to pass. 2 women arrived as it got dark. We left the house with them. They took us to an old shop in the next district. On the way we had to hide so as not to be seen by enemy patrols. On entry to the shop we was met by our leader, who addressed us by saying, "Glad you have been found. As 4 other teams have been. 3 teams have been in contact with the enemy, and after a fierce fight, all been killed. The 4th had been captured during a house search. They had no time to retaliate, surrounded while they were resting." Well, this was bad news. The worst we had heard for quite a while. It took a while for the information to sink in. We sat down for a drink. Our leader then stated that we were leaving in the morning. After a time we made tracks for bed, our last night on this earth. At the break of the day, just as light was appearing at the window, I arose, dressed and washed. As I entered into the storeroom of the shop, our leader met me. He stated, "Did you have a good sleep?" I answered with a grunt. He continued, "We'll be moving out soon, so put on your bomb coat. Make sure your detonator's in your hand at all times." Well, as he finished speaking, others including my friend Mal, they too were given the same instructions. I had to put on my bomb jacket and had it adjusted to fit under my clothing. I went back into the storeroom to wait for the others. When we were all together, we moved into the back of the shop to leave by the back door. Others had arrived to be our armed guards. As we were about to leave, the alarm was raised that an enemy patrol was making its way to our location. We had no time to lose. We all rushed out of the back gate into the alley. When we came to the end of the alley, 2 of our guards checked that the coast was clear. As they attempted to cross the road, they came under fire from an enemy troop carrier. They managed to dive into the next alleyway. 2 other guards took their place at the end of the alley. They were equipped with a tank grenade. After firing at the troop carrier, they also made their way to the alleyway. This was the cue for all of us to make a dash for it. Nobody stopped to look whether any hits were taken on either side. At this time we wanted to stay alive. We all regrouped in the alley. Time was not on our side, and we knew that. The other patrol would be on us shortly. About halfway up the alley was another safe house. We all dived into the rear entrance before we were seen by the enemy. Looking out from the front windows and from the roof, our destination could be seen, the local police station, with the unbelievers queuing outside for jobs. Also, the area was full of the enemy and other pedestrians walking about. Time was limited. We had to attack as soon as possible. We knew the 2 patrols would soon meet. After they had shared information, we'd know roughly where we were hiding. Our leader and guards would cover my friend and I until we had delivered our attack. 2 others would follow if we were not successful. All the other teams took off their bomb jackets, took up arms and joined the guards. After the roof and all doors and windows were covered, we moved to the front door. As we left the house, I could see what looked like a damaged troop carrier peering into the street. I lost contact with my friend as I managed to hide myself amongst the pedestrians. I followed the pedestrians on towards the police station. I managed to pick up a conversation with the nearest person to me. Lucky for me, he was on his way to join the queue at the police station. As I got near to the police station, gunfire opened up. I looked behind. The house where I'd left from, all areas of the house, gunfire and rockets were leaving and falling on the damaged troop carrier and the enemy. Quite a lot of the enemy were taken by surprise, dying whilst wondering where the noise and commotion was coming from. When the troop carrier blew up and debris started to fly, all the non-combatants had to run, couched towards the police station. Gunfire now was coming from everywhere. I could see the enemy crouching, taking shelter wherever they could and firing back at the house. Gunfire from the house seemed to be easing, caused by the enemy's sheer firepower. I was glad in a way that I was not on the end of so much lead. My feelings for my comrades was within me. I knew that in the house they were dying, wounded, maimed, or trying to escape. The enemy I knew would try to surround the house and mop up the resistance as soon as possible. Escape or capture, I knew would be slim. So for their sacrifice, I had to succeed with my mission. I carried on with the chap I had befriended, keeping close as I could to the other pedestrians. All the gunfire and explosions was a good diversion for me, as everyone was rushing to the police station with me in tow. As I got close to the police station, there was absolute mayhem. Everyone was at the front door, shouting to get in. Police and armed troops were trying to get out. An enemy officer was trying to add calm to the proceedings. In truth, he was making everything worse. Then I saw my friend heading straight for the centre of the melee. After a few seconds, there was a large, controlled explosion. There was body part, flesh, blood, sand and debris were flying everywhere. All this was followed by a second of silence, which was soon filled with the sound of wailing, screaming and shouting. Everything then changed. People were walking around, crawling, standing or just laying still. In the midst of all this was a fog cloud, leaving a funny smell and a red-brown puddle of lumps and shapes with bodies lying broken in weird contraction. Some of the people stumbling around in shock had missing parts, cuts and bruises. After the initial shock, people started to help those who were injured or dying move away from the carnage. The people who were running away from the gunfight They now were causing more turmoil. Of course, this did not help the situation. Those who were caught up with the first explosion, they tried to calm the situation. Now, though, with more people on scene, everyone was starting to congregate together again. This was a wonderful cue for me. I started to head for the middle of the crowd. It now contained many enemy troops, quite a few policemen and unbelievers. As I got to the middle of the disorganised crowd, I took out my detonator. Just before I pressed that red button, I asked my God to forgive me. End of part 3.